Marcus is 52 years old. He spent 20 years as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech firm outside Columbus, Ohio. Made around $95,000 a year. Nothing extraordinary. Last March, he walked into his manager's office, handed over his badge, and drove home. No announcement, no LinkedIn post. He just stopped. His wife knew. His accountant knew. Nobody else did. Derek is 54. Same suburb, one street over. Also spent 2 decades in tech. Also pulled around $95K most of his career. He's got the nicer car. He's got the kitchen renovation Marcus never bothered with. And every Sunday night, he opens his laptop and checks his email. Because Monday is already coming for him. The way it has been for 30 years. Marcus has $1.1 million invested. Derek has $290,000.
Same income, same number of working years, 2 completely different lives. Separated not by luck, not by inheritance, not by some stock tip that landed right. Separated by a single number that one of them calculated and the other never did. That number is what this video is about. Because most people have never sat down and figured out exactly what it costs to make work optional. And until you know your specific number, you're not building toward freedom. You're just saving without a destination. If you're someone who keeps telling yourself a few more years without actually knowing when those years end, subscribe and like this video. It will help more than you think.
Here's the version of this conversation most people have heard. Work hard, save as much as you can, invest early, retire at 65. Somewhere in there, the details get fuzzy. How much exactly? Into what? By when? The advice sounds responsible and amounts to nothing you can actually act on. The problem isn't that people are lazy or irresponsible. The problem is that save more is not a destination. It's a direction. And a direction without a distance gets you somewhere, just not necessarily where you intended. Think of it like this. Imagine someone tells you to drive north to reach a specific city. You drive north. For years, you drive north. But nobody told you the city was 300 miles away, and you've been pulling over every 50 miles wondering if you're there yet. That's most people's relationship with retirement savings. They're moving in roughly the right direction. They just don't know how far they need to go. The door to financial independence was never locked. Most people just never tried the handle because nobody told them where the door was. What I want to do in the next few minutes is give you the actual distance, not a motivational speech. The math in plain language, with real numbers you can take home and apply to your own situation tonight. The formula has a name. It's called the 4% rule, and it comes from a 1994 study out of Trinity University that has held up remarkably well over the decades since. The core idea is this. If you have a diversified portfolio, primarily stocks and bonds, you can withdraw 4% of that portfolio every year, adjust for inflation, and statistically, your money will outlast you over a 30-year retirement. Flip that around, and you get the number you're actually looking for. If you want $40,000 a year from your investments, not from a job, not from Social Security, just from the money you've built, you need $1 million invested. 40,000 times 25. That's the formula. Your annual expenses multiplied by 25. Now let's make $40,000 a year feel real. That's $3,333 a month. In most mid-size American cities, that covers rent or a modest mortgage, groceries, utilities, a car payment, health insurance, and a little left over. It's not a lavish life. It's not a vacation home. But it is a life where nobody tells you where to be on Monday morning. If your lifestyle runs closer to $60,000 a year, your number is $1.5 million. At $80,000 a year, you need $2 million. The math is consistent, and it scales directly with how you live. Here's where Marcus comes back in. He didn't earn more than Derek. He didn't get a windfall. What he did was start at 31 with a simple plan. Max his 401k match at work. That's
free money his employer handed him for showing up and put $800 a month into a Roth IRA on top of that. He never touched it. He reinvested every dividend. He didn't watch it obsessively. He just kept going.
$800 a month at a 7% real annual return, the conservative long-term average for a diversified index fund portfolio after inflation, compounds to roughly $500,000 over 21 years. Marcus also had his employer match working alongside that the entire time. By the time he was 50, the math was no longer primarily about what he was putting in. It was about what the money was doing on its own. That's the part most people miss. In the early years, your contributions are doing the heavy lifting, but somewhere past the $300,000 or $400,000 mark, the portfolio itself starts generating returns that dwarf what you're adding manually. A $500,000 portfolio at 7% earns $35,000 in a year without you doing anything. That's more than a lot of people contribute in 2 or 3 years combined. Once that engine turns over, time does the work.
Derek, meanwhile, spent those same years optimizing for the present. Better car, kitchen renovation, a few trips he charged and paid off slowly. His savings rate hovered around 6%. Enough to feel responsible, not enough to reach escape velocity. At 54, he has $290,000 invested. Under the 4% rule, that generates about $11,600 a year. That's not retirement income. That's a car payment and a half. The median retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64 is $87,000. Derek is actually ahead of most people his age. $87,000 at 4% generates $3,480 a year, $290 a month from a lifetime of working. Social Security adds around $1,900 a month for an average individual recipient, but the trust fund is projected depleted by 2033, with automatic benefit cuts of 23% if Congress doesn't act. For a typical retired couple, that's roughly $11,000 a year gone. That's the grocery bill. That's health insurance. The numbers are not comfortable, but they're the ones worth knowing.